Well, we have new evidence here that CNN just doesn't like America and doesn't really like practicing journalism. And CNN doesn't like telling the truth. We'll show all of it to you coming up in just a second. Also, James Talarico. Remember him? Remember how Republicans were terrified of James Talarico? Oh, no. He's the perfect candidate. What are we going to do? We better rush and endorse John Cornyn because Talarico's just good. We have more. We have more James Talarico, and he's pretty much toast. Say hello to your next senator from the great state of Texas, Ken Paxton. We'll show you that. And President Trump was en fuego yesterday, a couple of different speeches, press conference, talking about Iran and the SAVE Act. And, well, we've got the highlights for you. That's coming up right now. My name's Larry O'Connor. You can call me Larry. Early onset dementia and Alzheimer's are on the rise. Reports show a 373% increase in diagnoses among 30 to 44-year-olds and a 311% increase in 45 to 54-year-olds in the U.S. in recent years. When doctors treat brain diseases, they often focus on medicating the brain itself, addressing symptoms instead of the root cause, which is chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. Now, these factors damage brain cells and lead to the buildup of toxic proteins, the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. But like much of the body, many brain issues trace back to the gut microbiome. There's a direct communication line between your gut and your brain, the gut-brain axis, where gut bacteria influence inflammation, mood, memory, and cognitive function. And that's why what you eat matters so much. Kimchi contains over 900 probiotic strains, and studies show its bioactive compounds help reduce inflammation, protect brain cells, even improve memory and cognitive function by preventing amyloid beta plaque buildup. And that's why Brightcore created Kimchi One. It delivers all the benefits of real kimchi in convenient capsules. No taste, no smell, virtually no sodium, non-GMO, and 100% made in the USA. Today, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking that link below for 25% off your entire order, or you can scan that QR code if you're watching the video, or go to brightcore.com/Larry, 25% off. Awesome. Or if you want an even more awesome deal, some would call it awesomer, why don't you call my friends at Brightcore? Get up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call right now, 888-462-4779. Kimchi One from Brightcore. Both Meredith and I use it every single day. Yesterday, we showed you the way the media was covering that terror attack linked to ISIS in New York City. You know, the two guys who screamed Allahu Akbar and threw bombs. Well, the media was covering it deceptively. They made it sound like it was conservative protesters who don't like Mamdani who threw bombs at the mansion, the crazy mansion. They lied. We thought we were done with this story, but CNN, well, they just can't quit. Take a look at how they framed a story about the terror attacks. I kid you not, this is real. They eventually deleted it, but here's the screenshot. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day, enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. But in less than an hour, their lives would be drastically changed as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an anti-Muslim protest outside of Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home. Here's what we know so far. Oh, thanks, CNN. You've already told us what you know so far. You've told us more than enough. Who are these people? This is why I regularly brag to you that I don't have a journalism degree. You have to have an advanced degree. Major in journalism, then maybe get your advanced degree in creative writing, investigative studies. I don't know. But to write that garbage? They were holding hands walking down Times Square, thinking that they may get a half-price ticket at the discount booth for today's matinee of Wicked. But instead, next thing you know, they're in trouble with the law. Actually, I'm pretty impressed with them that they deleted that tweet after tons of ridicule they received. Here's a quick side-by-side of what they presented on social media with the now deleted tweet and the way they present the news to their viewers.
This morning, we're learning new details about the two Pennsylvania teenagers charged with trying to detonate homemade explosives at a protest near Mayor Zohran Mamdani's residence. Now, court documents show that one of the suspects, Emir Balat, wanted to exceed the death toll of the Boston Marathon bombing. Authorities also say the young man admitted to being inspired by ISIS.
So they were inspired by ISIS and they wanted to exceed previous terror attacks' death tolls. And they hopped on the Staten Island ferry, enjoyed the beautiful warm weather and the views of the Statue of Liberty. I hope you're not still going there for news. You're getting something from them, but it isn't news. After they deleted it, then CNN put out this statement. A post regarding the two individuals arrested for throwing homemade bombs outside of New York City, Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home, failed to reflect the gravity of the incident, thereby breaching the editorial standards we require for all our reporting. It has therefore been deleted. You know, the big news here, and this is breaking, this is like stunning. I've learned something new today. CNN has editorial standards. Stop the presses, everybody. They should get an award. CNN has editorial standards. By the way, can they all stop saying outside of New York City, Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home? It's not his home. It belongs to the city of New York. It's Gracie Mansion where the mayor lives. That doesn't make it his home. But you know how communists are. There'll be squatters before you know it. He ain't never leaving that place. All right. And then we have this. Now, this is fascinating. This is actually from Brian Stelter's newsletter, right, Kevin?
Yes.
Brian Stelter, the potato who's in charge of media analysis over at CNN, but for the most part, he's just a mouthpiece for selling Jake Tapper's book or something. He says CNN deletes outrageous X post. It was outrageous, I tell you. CNN was rightly criticized this morning for a post on X that said this, and he repeats what the tweet said. The story itself was solid. Don't get me wrong. It's a super solid story about the frolicking fun these two Pennsylvania teens were going to have in the city so nice they named it twice until they decided to use their ISIS affiliation to try to blow up and kill as many innocent New Yorkers as they possibly could. But it was a solid story nonetheless. The tweet was outrageous and quickly addressed by CNN management. The tweet was deleted and replaced by a message saying the post failed to reflect the gravity of the... All right, yeah, there. Who was fired, Brian? I don't know. Maybe it's me. Like, if you work at McDonald's and you deliver French fries that are not up to the French fry standard of McDonald's, you're going to lose your job eventually. Was anyone fired for this? I'd love to know. Here, let's ask Brian, because he's all over the important, journalistic work that CNN does. You see, here's the context. Here's the really important news about the editorial standards that CNN has, according to Brian Stelter. Also, Brian Stelter.
But I can tell you, Ellison has talked in recent months about how he wants to sustain the news business in the United States. And he's talked about his belief that, quote, the majority of the country longs for news that is balanced and is fact-based. And Wolf, that sure sounds a lot like CNN's mission. A lot of similarities here. But
Yeah, that's Brian Stelter reporting on the new merger that will have CNN working for that guy who a lot of people believe, Mr. Ellison, is a friend of Trump and a little more right of center, considering he's reworked the way CBS News comes to market with the way they deliver news. Yeah, sounds just like how we deliver our news. By the way, Kevin, was there something wrong with that video? Were we playing it like 1.5 times speed or something with the Mickey Mouse voice that he uses? That's just weird. What did you tinker with that or something?
No, he just sounds like that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My bad. That's not fair. I'm sorry, Brian. Keep up the great work, you broadcaster. Yeah, that's how CNN. That's CNN's trademark. That's their hallmark. That's their brand. I'm telling you, that's the stamp of CNN quality right there. Editorial standards across the board. I'm sorry. How did you just describe how you go to business every day,
I can tell you, Ellison has talked in recent months about how he wants to sustain the news business in the United States. And he's talked about his belief that, quote, the majority of the country longs for news that is balanced and is fact-based.
Balanced and fact-based. And that's just what we do every day, Wolf. Balanced and fact-based. And then 1 week later, CNN, 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day, enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. Akbar! Yeah, it's serious and fact-based and balanced. And then just a couple of hours after the deleted tweet that didn't meet CNN's editorial standards, CNN did a super serious segment on the latest in the military conflict in Iran and Middle East. And here's CNN's balanced, fact-based news delivery, ladies and gentlemen.
There's been a little bit of positive movement in the markets after the president told CBS that the war is pretty much complete. What's the latest?
Yeah, oil prices hitting their lowest level of the day after crashing through that $100 a barrel benchmark overnight, even reaching up to $115, $120 a barrel.Ose are numbers that we haven't seen for nearly 4 years since the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out. But even though these levels have come down to about $85, $90 a barrel, still 30% higher than they were just a month ago.
Okay, hold on. So, first of all, they're reporting, you heard the setup, really positive developments today, except that wasn't the tone of the voice. It was, well, we regret to inform you that we have some very, very good news coming out of the military conflict in the Middle East. Stock market is up, oil prices are down. President says that the war could be coming to an end soon. Well, let's start with the oil thing. And then she begins by saying, yeah, price of oil came down to $80 a barrel, but it got really high for a week there. Yeah, when the Straits of Hormuz was closed and rockets were being shot at oil-producing nations willy-nilly from Iran because they were lashing out at anyone who was around them. And by the way, did you point out that she even had to admit, yeah, it got pretty high. Not nearly as high as it did under Biden. So everything, it's as my colleague at Salem, Dennis Prager, says, they have a proctologist's view of America. They can't see anything without looking at it from the perspective of a proctologist. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Okay, so let's continue with the really good positive news. This is how CNN reports good news to their viewers about a military conflict against the world's leading state sponsor of terror, who's been a thorn in the side of every freedom-loving nation, especially America, for nearly 5 decades. Here's how they deliver the good news. Like they're going to a funeral.
Markets obviously move very quickly, but what isn't moving so quickly for Americans, at least today, is that price of gas. People are showing up at the pump and realizing that gas is costing about 50 cents more on average than it did just a week ago, and 40 cents more than it did a year ago when President Trump was newly in office. Of course, oil prices can change. They could go back up again, especially because so much of the world's oil, 20%, is really locked at a standstill at that Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the oil moves through, as oil tankers are simply stuck there, unable to move oil. The U.S. does have a good supply of oil. However, oil trades on a global market, and that's why you're seeing nerves. That's why you're seeing oil prices rise, and that's why you're seeing gas prices rise. According to Gas Buddy, we could see another 10 to 20 cent rise, and we could and will likely reach $4 a gallon here in the United States. But investors on Wall Street were also encouraged by that conversation that President Trump had with CBS News. Markets really made a turnaround. The Dow closing up 239 points. Look at that, most of the day in the red, finishing in the green. Also the NASDAQ and S&P closing in the green. This is really investors reacting to news, being headline sensitive, as they've been saying for the past couple weeks or so. But really overall, a tepid response from Wall Street, trying to be more measured, or trying to perhaps project a more measured tone that the administration may have with Iran. But as we know, and we just heard from Fred, missiles being traded in both directions, including hitting key oil infrastructure in Iran and in other areas of the Middle East. We'll just have to keep an eye on those oil markets. A lot can change in just moments, Casey.
But, you know, all when all is said and done, a real tepid response here, actually. Just there goes Trump breaking another promise with the forever wars, because we're at 9 days now. That's CNN. That's how CNN, that's their editorial standards. Fair, balanced, fact-based. When they're not giving a full body massage to little ISIS terrorists who tried to kill as many innocent people as possible, they're lamenting the fact that it looks like we're going to emerge from this military strike by depleting Iran militarily once and for all, and actually bringing stabilization to the world's oil markets. Fact of the matter is, if things are going the way they're going right now, 2 months from now, we're probably going to have oil lower than it's been in a decade. Well, we'll see. Anything can happen. I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying that's the trend that could happen here once you stabilize it. Imagine, if you will, what the world oil markets look like when both Venezuela and Iran, two of the major players on the global stage for oil, are now controlled by stable, freedom-loving governments who cooperate with the rest of the world. Would that be a good thing or a bad thing, everybody? Well, in the CNN newsroom, it would be the worst day in history. That's how they report. If only every day we could write a love story about two teenage boys wanting to murder as many New Yorkers as they can. By the way, they did one of those, positive, negative, do you think favorably or unfavorably of people polls here. And a lot of people were talking about the fact that AI is super unpopular here. Approval 26, negative 26. But look at right underneath AI, it would be the Democrats. Democrats are only more popular than Iran right now in this poll. ICE, by the way, trashed by the Democrats and the media, is more popular than the Democrats themselves. And you got to love Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris screaming down there at the bottom. Trump about in the middle. Number one is Pope Leo. He could run for president theoretically. Ooh, think about that for a minute. One guy is president and Pope. We don't need that. And I love Stephen Colbert. He's a comedian. Do you notice who's missing in this list? Yeah, the news media. I'm thinking that it's lower than Iran, but whoever published the poll was like, yeah, we can't do that. That would be wrong. Let's not. Here's your status report for Iran right now, because you're not watching CNN. We've now sunk 50 of their Navy vessels. We've reopened the Strait of Hormuz and allowed for insurance companies to insure tankers. So, I believe that they're already coming through the Strait of Hormuz. They just turn off their transponders so they can't be tracked. So there's no registration of it. But by the end of the week, the Strait of Hormuz will be completely wide open and they'll be shipping oil again. And there is no real threat anymore from Iran, from their cluster drones or from their missiles and rockets. And there's no command and control in the country. So there you go. That's news reporting you're not going to get at CNN, because I'm not up to their editorial standards. Crime is skyrocketing in America. You may already own a firearm, but before you face the financial, legal, and emotional weight of pulling the trigger, there's a smarter option, Byrna. It's BYRNA. Byrna makes less lethal launchers that fire tear gas and kinetic rounds designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to escape and call for help without the deadly consequences. I've seen these things in action. I had a demo of them. They're amazing. They've got this best-selling compact launcher. It's sleek, it's slim, incredibly powerful. It's about the size of a smartphone. It's ideal for concealed carry, comfortable, discreet, and confidence building. And I say concealed carry, it's legal in all 50 states. You don't have to worry about any sort of classes or anything like that. It fires 400 feet per second. It's got serious stopping power, enough to shut down a threat fast without the additional legal and moral complexity of using lethal force. It's It's a really good option for a lot of people. Byrna, by the way, is proudly American. Over 80% of components are U.S. sourced, and every lawn chair is hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. With over 750,000 sold worldwide, Byrna is the best in class, and it's legal in all 50 states. No background checks, shipped straight to your door. Learn more at Byrna.com, Byrna.com. President Trump went over the heads of the media and delivered news and information about the military conflict in Iran direct to you, the people, although in the process of it, he tangled with the media a little bit yesterday during a press conference. It's always rollicking, isn't it? And then later in the day, he gave a speech to a leadership retreat going on with Republicans and conservatives down in Doral, Florida. Let's start with the press conference, get you up to speed, and, well, pop the popcorn because it's always entertaining when 45/47 takes the podium.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared?
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning. It's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar. They have no telecommunications. And they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further. And we're going to go further.
All right, so people are criticizing the president. How could it be both? How could it be very nearly complete and just beginning? Okay. Let's put on our critical thinking caps for a moment, shall we? Not you in the media who are watching, because this is way over your head. You're going to have to go back and take the remedial course, okay? You're not ready for this. All right, so you're the commander-in-chief, you're the president of the United States, you're doing an assessment of the damage your military's done in the first 9 days of this conflict, and the fact of the matter is their Navy is depleted, 50 ships on the bottom of the sea. No Navy to speak of at this point. All they've got are these little boats that the IRGC commands, and they can cause trouble with oil tankers at the Straits of Hormuz. But if we start escorting the tankers, not going to happen. We're going to be swatting them away like flies. Okay, whatever military assets they still have, they don't have many missiles left, and they can't replenish because they can't make them and they can't buy them from China. Although I don't think they're going to want to buy them from China because, well, they're made in China and they're performing as well. Are you going to buy a car from China? Enough said. Okay. And then same with their drones, same with their cluster drones that they've been able to wreak havoc with, and pretty much done. You haven't heard about many shots fired from Iran these days, partly because whatever they do have left, they've lost control and command, right? And the last time their leadership was killed, and then they got together to vote on their new leader, they were all killed. And so then they had a Zoom call saying, I don't know, you take the job. I don't run the job. You take the job. Oh, this isn't working. I'm sorry. I can't hear you. I got to go. It's not going to happen. So they elected the son of the Ayatollah to succeed his father. And here's something that you don't hear in the news very often. The Iranians, the mullahs, the clerics, they loathe the idea of hereditary inheritance here for leadership. This has not been a thing. They criticize it. It's one of the reasons why they got rid of the Shah, right? They made the case is well, we can't have some king over us and then have his son take over and his son take over, sort of like how we got rid of our king, the King George, right? And so now here they go. It's the only guy they could get to take the job was the son. So all the clerics that are around say, well, we hate this. We're not going to respect him. We're not going to follow what he has to say. So that's been completely destroyed. So from the president's perspective, they've done pretty much everything that they want to do, right? From a military basis. All right. Now you're Secretary of Defense. And there's a couple of more goals that you have, like a surrender, like the leadership putting down their guns and walking away saying, okay, we're done here. Like the political leadership, enough with the whole supreme leader nonsense and trying to continue to keep the theocracy going once the U.S. and Israel are gone. Maybe part of your strategy is to actually help work with other groups within the country to help take over the infrastructure and the government to actually return it to the people of Iran. That hasn't happened yet. And so what do you want to do if you want to force your enemy to surrender and relinquish control? Well, you send out the message that we've only begun. We're just getting started. You're uncomfortable and unhappy right now. Just wait, because more is coming your way. There you go. Now you can understand how both can be true. That from one perspective, we pretty much did our job. And from the other perspective, more is on its way. Okay? You're welcome. President had more to say, though. And he was exercising message discipline at times.
Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, they never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear. We want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site.
All right, so that's the president answering the question, why now? There was no imminent threat. Why now? Did you pick up on that one nugget in there? They were negotiating. They were talking. By the way, Witkoff's already said at the beginning of the negotiations, their starting point, Iran's starting point was that they had the God-given right to develop the Allah-given right to develop a nuclear weapon, and they should be able to use it against whatever enemy they wanted to. That was the starting point of their position, and they never budged from it. So where exactly are these negotiations going? But then did you hear that? That they claimed that they're developing nuclear technology for peaceful domestic energy purposes, because if there's one thing you know about the Iranians, they hate greenhouse gases. They just they're all about global warming. It's the Persian Green New Deal. They're like, oh sure, we're sitting on the 3rd largest oil reserves on the planet, and we've gotten rich over the decades by pumping oil and supplying it to nefarious countries around the world, despite all of the embargoes on us and the various sanctions, so that we could use the money that we make to fund terrorism. But you know what? We can keep pumping oil, and we can keep selling it, and we can keep living high on the hog like Jed Clampett and the Beverly Hillbillies. We could do that, but you know what? Burning all that oil, it's fossil fuels, man. We just hate greenhouse gases. So we're going to develop nuclear energy instead. Yeah. Because that's what the Iranians are thinking. That's why the Iranians wanted nuclear technology. Of course. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? That's right in character with their thinking. I'm talking to you, Brian Stelter. Anyway, the president just revealed that at the negotiating table, we offered them, we said, we will give you unlimited free nuclear technology for clean energy purposes. You don't have to pay a damn thing for it. We'll supply it for you. Just abandon your designs on the technology. And they said, nope, we want to do it ourselves. Gee, I wonder why. Oh, but there was no threat. They weren't a threat to us. They're a peace-loving nation. And the Ayatollah had a fuzzy beard and a charming smile, and he loved reading Victor Hugo. Come on, everybody. Iran's our friend. All right, later in the evening, he gave a speech to Republican leaders at their retreat in Doral, Florida.
The enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. Iran's drone and missile capability is being utterly demolished. The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? They said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true. But
all right, let me just jump in here, because I saw some lunatic left-wing media people and Democrat politicos taking that clip and saying, Trump just admitted that we've committed war crimes. They'd rather sink a ship than take everybody on the ship prisoners of war. That's a war crime. It's a simmer down, Gladys. All right. First of all, none of the ships that were sunk had made any indication that they were surrendering to the enemy. Not one Iranian has attempted to surrender to the United States during this entire conflict. Okay. So that wasn't an option. The guy is giving a speech. He's riffing. He's doing his jokes. He's saying things. But the most important thing he said there is like, oh, it's more fun. First of all, may I say, obviously, it's more fun to sink a ship. But more importantly, it's a lot safer. Think about it for a second. You're a Navy vessel, and you have the option, knowing that you've got a enemy ship in your sights, populated by Iranians and their elite military, who have been trained their entire life to kill the infidel and the great Satan. And you can either sink that ship because it's not getting out of the way, it's not moving, and it's not surrendering. Or you can do like a Pirates of the Caribbean thing, and you can, come up right alongside it and then, swing on the ropes over to the top of the deck and then do a sword fight and capture the ship instead, right? What are you, morons? Yes, the answer is yes, they're morons. Of course, that's kind of dangerous to actually board and commandeer a ship, even if the ship is pretending like they've surrendered. It's an incredibly dangerous endeavor. Hasn't been done in decades in Navy warfare. It's just a ship is sunk. That's what happens. And the president said so. Listen,
we sink them. They said it's more fun to sink them. I said they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink.
They say it's safer. You see, that's what that was. Everybody did I tell Gladys to calm down already? Yes, calm down, Gladys. Again, stay calm.
I guess it's probably true. But think of it, we knocked out 46, it actually took 3.5 days. Their terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they will be gone. Think of it, we had leaders and they're gone. Then we had new leaders and they're gone. And now nobody has any idea who the people are that are going to be the head of the country, and will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated.
All right, so that's a good summation of exactly how their military has been depleted. Their Navy is non-existent at this point. And yes, the chaos in the upper ranks of their political infrastructure. This was last night, like I said, 9 days into the conflict. And I want to remind you that every single president, including Jimmy Carter, although nobody ever believed Jimmy Carter, but every single president leading up to Donald Trump had all said that they would take action against Iran if given the opportunity, if they had the opportunity, and the military conditions warranted it. We showed you the video yesterday of Hillary Clinton when she was running for president saying, if I'm president, we're going to obliterate Iran. If they are close to a nuclear weapon, we'll take the shot, right? So this is the only president who's actually done it. And during his speech, at those moments where he weaves and zigs and zags and goes off the teleprompter, he spoke quite frankly in self-reflection about the fact that he's the guy who did it. And, he did it in classic Trump style.
No, I don't want to brag, but, they've said this about a lot of things. No other president could do some of this shit I'm doing. No other president. The things I'm doing, nobody else was going to do it. They say it all the time, sir, could you do this? You're the only one can do it.
I mean, he's not wrong, but the delivery is just exquisite. All right, so that's the president sort of giving you a summary of the absolute military dominance there with Iran in the Middle East, completely. Like, they're going to write textbooks and give classes in the military academies for the next several decades about how the U.S. military, along with the Israeli military, has completely taken a formidable foe, chopped the head off the snake, and completely depleted their ability to threaten their neighbors and threaten all of our allies in that area, at least for the next 30 years, right? It's a complete success. No serious person would ever suggest otherwise. Unfortunately, I have to present to you a not serious person who likes to pretend that he's serious, Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona. He was a captain in the Navy, don't you know? Oh, you didn't know that? Don't worry. Just wait about 10 seconds. He'll remind you. Here he is with an equally serious journalist, the soon-to-be unemployed Anderson Cooper.
So, Senator, the president said he thinks the Iran war could be over very soon. He called it an excursion. Does that sound realistic to you?
Well, I mean, who knows with Donald Trump? I mean, he went into this without a strategic goal, without a plan, without a timeline. And now he calls this an excursion. We have 7 dead Americans. There are probably about 150, if not more, Iranian children that are dead, other casualties in the region. And the end, I mean, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I think Donald Trump ultimately at some point is going to decide, you know, when this ends. His Secretary of Defense, I think, said today or yesterday that we're at the beginning of this conflict. So I think the president needs to, you know, sit down and listen to the people around him, at least the few people that know what they're doing, and start to come up with a plan here. What is the exit strategy? And explain it to the American people. And by the way, Anderson, I don't see what the American people are getting out of this. You know, we've got dead Americans. We've got the possibility of boots on the ground, which could lead to a lot more casualties, you know, on our side. And it's incredibly frustrating, I have to say that.
You don't think that there's anything that the United States accomplished in this thus far?
Well, I mean, we sunk some of their Navy ships. We've destroyed some of their launch capability for the ballistic missiles. They fired a lot of ballistic missiles. On our side, we have fired a lot of interceptors, PAC-3 rounds for Patriots, other defensive missiles. We've got a math problem here. Regime change didn't happen. The son of the Ayatollah might be worse than the dad. We don't know yet, and I think only time is going to tell. The president said last summer we obliterated the nuclear weapons that they had and the uranium. That wasn't the case because now they're talking about ground operations to remove what's left. So I don't see from a strategic perspective what was accomplished. This isn't like the first Gulf War that I fought in, where the goal was to kick the Iraqi military out of Kuwait. And when we achieved that goal, we had a timeline to achieve it, and when we achieved it, we pulled out.
You know, I love the fact that as he's saying that nothing strategic has been accomplished by this, that there's B-roll running of all of these impacts, all of these, you know, armaments and pieces of Iranian military that are being obliterated on the screen right next to him, saying, yeah, we haven't really done much over there. Nothing's really gotten accomplished. Wait, what's the strategic advantage of sinking Iran's entire Navy? Well, I don't know. I was just a captain in the Navy, but I flew planes, so I don't know these things. See, you can twist yourself into a pretzel and get yourself to look super serious on CNN and say things like that if, in fact, in your heart, you're hoping for failure. See, if you're hoping for failure, you can find a way to deliver a message like that. And that's what you need to know from Mark Kelly. See, if this is a failure, that's good for Mark Kelly. If you're in the business of Mark Kelly, you want this military conflict to be a failure, number one. Number two, I love the fact that at the end there, you know, it's not like the first Gulf War that I participated in. We had a clear-cut objective. We wanted Iraq out of Kuwait. We got it done and we left. You realize, of course, that people criticize the way we ended that conflict for decades because Saddam Hussein was left in power. He was allowed to threaten his neighbors and terrorize his people. He ended up engaging in a war with Iran as well and with other countries. All of the other countries of the Arab states hated the fact that we ended that war the way we did. It's just amazing. And he also said, well, it's not an accomplishment because we didn't accomplish regime change. The president specifically said, as did the Secretary of Defense, say that regime change is not our goal here. And he's like, well, now we got the son of the Ayatollah. Well, okay, for now, he's been in the job for 2 days. Don't blink. Don't grow too attached to the son of the Ayatollah. But all of you keep hearing this all the time from people. Well, you know, the son of the Ayatollah is probably 10 times worse than his dad. How the hell do you know? Nobody knows that. That's a talking point that they're saying in New York and in D.C., just again to undermine the effort. And again, in my opinion, you're asking, since Anderson Cooper is asking Mark Kelly's opinion, Mark Kelly gave his opinion, I'm going to go ahead and give you my opinion. I don't think when all is said and done and the dust settles that whatever emerges as a functioning government in Iran is going to have a job called supreme leader. I think that's done. So it's like, wow, we haven't changed the regime and we've got the son of the Ayatollah there. Yeah, it's 9 days in, guys, and the son's had the job for 48 hours. Let's just let history unfold before our very eyes, shall we? Thank you very much. Oh, and one other thing. The president called it an excursion, right? You may have noticed, I specifically have never called this a war in Iran, okay? It may have slipped just because that's shorthand. But technically speaking, I hate to, be that guy, but we are not at war with Iran right now. We are engaged in military strikes against Iran that certainly replicate what a war would look like, but we have not declared war on that nation. It's like saying we were at war with Venezuela. Well, we weren't. We utilized our military to reach a political and military and strategic goal that we needed to carry it out. Sometimes you use your military and the deadly force that the military has as a nation to accomplish something without actually declaring all-out war. So when you use other euphemisms, did you know, and look this up, the Korean War was never legally, from the United States perspective, a war? Did you know that? Look it up. Do you know what Harry Truman called the Korean War? A police action. They called it we didn't send cops over there. They weren't wearing badges. They weren't arresting people. Yeah, the Korean War was a police action. This happens all the time. When the U.S. utilizes our military to get things done, sometimes it may look like a war. And Mark Kelly knows this. There's nothing worse than a politician who goes on television and acts stupid for his own political gain. And that's what Mark Kelly is doing here. Excursion, I don't even know what that means. You know exactly what that means. All right, enough of Mark Kelly. Let's bring it back to Donald Trump, who sort of wrapped things up in this, just stem winder of a speech where he did, yes, talk about the Iran war, but he then focused on the people in that room, the Republicans in Congress who have one job to do: pass the SAVE Act.
Because I don't think you can politically exist if you're not going to do voter ID and these things. I don't think the people in this country will stand for it. So I'm making my biggest plea tonight. It'll make you, and I'm not doing it for this reason at all. It'll guarantee the midterms. It'll guarantee the midterms. If you don't get it, big trouble, my opinion. If you get this, your midterms, and they know it. For two reasons. Number one, they won't be able to cheat. And number two, the people are demanding it. Every time I go out, Save America, sir, Save America Act. We want the Save America Act, sir. That's all they talk about. They don't talk about housing. They don't talk about anything. That's what they talk about. And if you send it up there, you're going to win the midterms at levels that you can't even believe. And you're going to win every election for a long time until somebody really screws things up, and hopefully that won't happen.
Now, when President Trump said that if you pass the SAVE Act, you're guaranteed to win the midterms, of course, the media and Democrats have twisted those words to say, you see, this is how they're going to keep the votes from being counted, and they're going to nationalize the election, and Trump's going to take over the ballot boxes, and this is how they're going to keep married women from voting. By the way, that's my favorite one. They keep saying that the SAVE Act keeps married women from voting because of their birth certificate and name change and garbage like that. You realize that married women by far vote Republican more than they vote Democrats, right? So what kind of idiots would insist on a law that ensures that married women, who more often than not are going to vote Republican than Democrat, single women vote Democrat? You betcha. It's their largest voting bloc, single women. And they're not going to have a problem with the name change issue, right? That the Democrats keep screaming about. That tells you what a phony issue that is. But everyone's saying, oh, you see, this is why Trump wants it. No, keep listening to the clip, because he says you're going to win the midterms if you pass the SAVE Act because, number one, they can't cheat, yes. But number two, because the voters will feel like you delivered for them. That's the bottom line. If you're a Republican and you're running for election this midterm and you go into your state and you tell your state, you got to put me back in the Senate, Otherwise, the Democrats are going to have the leadership and it's going to be a disaster. You got to keep the Republicans in the leadership in the Senate. And you're a voter and you know that they've had the SAVE Act sitting there on a silver platter and they've done nothing about it. They haven't even tried. They haven't fought. They haven't lifted a finger for it. And you're a voter and they say you got to keep us in leadership. The only answer back to that Republican is why? What's the point? You're in leadership now when you're not doing what I want. Over 90% of Republicans want the SAVE Act. You're not doing it, and you say you need my vote to keep you in leadership? Go pound sand. That's why they've got to do this. That's why it'll translate to victory. There's nothing like telling your voters that you're actually going to do what they want you to do. It actually turns into victory, and you get more votes for it. You should try it sometime, Republicans in the Senate. One other point he made about the SAVE Act, which is just undeniably true.
The only reason you vote against voter ID is because you want to cheat. There's no other reason. They come up with reasons. They say, it's racist. That's their number one, racist. Then you have to explain it, and they're just sitting there mumbling. They can't explain it. And it's actually very insulting when they use the term racist. Very insulting to the people that they're trying to so-called defend, but they're not defending.
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, to be fair to the president, because he sort of like mixed the message there, he said the only reason that you wouldn't want to pass the SAVE Act is because you want to cheat. But then he breached the other reason. The other reason why you don't want to pass the SAVE Act, number one, is because you want to cheat. The only other reason is because you think your voters are too dumb to figure it out. That's it. That's it. Because that's the argument they make. They're not going to go up there and say, we can't do this because then we can't cheat. They can't say that. So the only other message is all these people are not going to be able to obtain ID. And every single sentient human being on this planet, and certainly in this country, hears that and says, oh, so they're stupid? Because they can't figure out how to get an ID? Because everyone figures that out. So there you go. There's your two options. Democrats, die on whichever hill you'd like. Our voters are too dumb to get an ID, or damn it, we just got to be able to cheat. Either way, seems like a politically smart thing for Republicans to push that thing through. I could be wrong. I mean, Donald Trump, what does he know about winning close elections? Nothing like John Thune. Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. At today's prices, 20 years later, those 33 ounces would be worth over $150,000. Many Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. Gold can insulate you in times of war, geopolitical instability, and high inflationary periods. And the company I recommend to help you buy gold is Birch Gold Group. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you, too. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text my name, Larry, to 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. And now that's a peace of mind. Text my name, Larry, to 989898. Again, text Larry to 989898. Do it today. Message and data rates apply. Remember all the smart guys in Washington, D.C. saying that Republicans were terrified of James Talarico, that he's the kind of Democrat who can finally flip Texas blue, that he is going to be the next senator from the great... I can't even keep a straight face saying, but that's what they all said. All the smart guys in Washington, they all said it. Well, St. James of Talarico might have seen the end of his magic carpet ride all the way to the Senate. There are more videos that are out showing you exactly who this guy is. It's some of the worst, dirtiest campaigning I've ever seen against a politician. The opposition research that they're doing against him, do you know what they're doing? Do you know how dirty they are? They're showing videos of him giving speeches. That's right. dirtiest kind of Oppo research you'll ever see. They're actually his own words. Here's the latest, everybody. Here's the Democrat dream candidate. Their it boy of the month. Here he is.
If we welcome immigrants who want to come and start a business, come and contribute to our communities, we're not just going to grow the economy, we're also going to bring down inflation. We're going to fill those jobs that no American wants to work. And we're going to all be stronger.
Yes. Oh, I love the no Americans want to work line. That nothing reveals just how much Democrats hate your typical American, especially your blue collar working American, than that line right there. We got to bring in these people to do these jobs that Americans just don't want to do because they don't want to work. I mean, honestly, Jasmine Crockett at least was a little more colorful when she delivered the message. We're done picking cotton, right? Remember? Yes, we got to import some slaves. All right, so bringing in immigrants, illegal immigrants to boot, and then giving them all the rights and all the benefits of a natural-born citizen does what now, James?
We welcome immigrants who want to come and start a business, come and contribute to our communities.
Hold on. Come and start a business. I mean, I thought they were picking fruit and vegetables in the fields and making the beds and filling our glass waters at restaurants, right? Now they're starting businesses because that's the kind of job Americans don't want to do. American entrepreneurs? Who ever heard of an American being an entrepreneur? Contributing to it. So again, all of these things that these immigrants are going to do are things that Americans won't do. Like be an entrepreneur, start a business, contribute to the community, because you Americans, you don't contribute to the community.
We're not just going to grow the economy, we're also going to bring down inflation.
And that brings down inflation because nothing brings down inflation like importing labor that then ends up being on our benefits rolls, get free education, free food, free housing, all the federal benefits, free health care. That's a recipe for lower inflation right there. What was the number out of Minneapolis? Like 80% of the Somali nationals, even the ones that have been here for decades, are still on public assistance. But it's because those are jobs Americans don't want to do. James, please keep talking.
For the most part, the Republican caucus here in Texas is white, older men, straight, cisgendered men.
Honestly, he's like AI created a thing. Has anyone actually seen him in person? I guess Stephen Colbert has, although that could have been camera tricks. It's like AI said, hey, you go to ChatGPT or Grok or whatever you use and say, hey, make me a animated beta Democrat who speaks with every talking point and bullet point and buzz phrase that every beta woke liberal uses. And this is what you get.
For the most part, the Republican caucus here in Texas is white, older men, straight, cisgendered men.
By the way, I'm offended by his whiteness. I don't know if you are as offended about his whiteness as I am. But let's not ever forget, as he virtue signals about how he cares about persons of color and demonizes Republicans for being white cisgender men, that this white cisgender means normal, right? Kevin, can you help me out here? This is your generation that comes up with these words. Cisgender means that you're born a man and you actually believe you're a man, right?
Yeah, this is default settings. It's a slur for straight people.
That's what I thought. So in other words, if you actually behave the way that your body was designed and the way God intended you to behave with your body parts, they have to add a modifier to it? Is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay. So let me just be clear. And as far as we know, and I apologize if I'm naive about this guy is not gay, right? Kevin, you've researched this, haven't you?
I have no evidence to the contrary.
All right. So this guy's straight. So if I'm not mistaken, St. James of Talarico is a white cisgender man, just like he's disparaging in the Republican caucus.
Straight, cisgendered men.
He's a straight, white, cisgender man. And he took that white privilege, that straight privilege, that cisgender patriarchy, and he ripped the nomination for Senate away from Jasmine Crockett, a black woman. Why in the hell should we listen to this guy virtue signal about racial justice when he literally went out of his way to steal the nomination from a black woman? Is there anyone out there in the media who claims that they care about the truth can bring this up? Oh, and speaking of cisgender, speaking of the patriarchy, here's James Talarico as a state senator or delegate or whatever the hell his title was on a podcast. And this is the latest. This is the best, I think.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity. They shouldn't have to, but it was an inspiration to watch.
We sure he's straight? There's the question of the year. Name me something that you love other than a member of your family. And the answer is trans children. Okay. By the way, if you're watching on the video, can you take a look at the podcaster right there? Can you take a look at the look in her face and the body language? That's the problem right now in the American electorate. It's not even Jay. I don't blame James Talarico. He's a politician. He's going to do whatever he needs to do. Whatever. She's the problem. This woman right here represents everything that is wrong right now with how we choose our elected officials. Okay. A little bit more from St. James of Talarico.
No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity.
Right.
Use it.
Yep.
Use it to do something.
Yeah.
Let's be productive.
Wait, who's crying over that? Crying over your masculinity may be one of the most masculine things anyone ever does. Oh, James, what should I do? I've been crying over my masculinity a lot lately. Oh, I've got some advice for you. Be a man. So there's no reason to cry over your whiteness or your masculinity. Who is this guy? He's your next senator from Texas, everybody. That's who he is. Listen to this again and remember that he went out of his way to raise tens of millions of dollars to defeat Jasmine Crockett, a black woman, even went so far as to create that deceptive charade with Stephen Colbert and keep Jasmine Crockett down under his straight white cisgender heel, under his jackboot. This Nazi. Listen to him again.
No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity.
Right.
Use it.
Yep.
Use it to do something.
Yeah.
Let's be productive.
Yeah, do something really productive, like keep a black woman down. How does he get away with it? Oh, I'll tell you how he gets away with it. Because he talks about Jesus. Yes, it's his secret sauce. It's his special weapon. He is their favorite because he talks about Jesus. Remember when you weren't supposed to talk about being a Christian, and certainly you weren't supposed to incorporate your Christianity into your politics and your policies and how you act as an elected official? Remember when that was verboten? When that was, separation of church and state. How dare you bring the Bible into our conversation? Yeah, that was before we met St. James of Talarico. And I want to apologize to all of the people who are in charge of these things because I have now shown 4 clips of Mr. Talarico, blessed be his name, without him talking about Christianity and distorting our faith and our scripture and everything it is to be a Christian. So, without further ado, here's James.
You can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with greenhouse gases.
You can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with greenhouse gases. My understanding of the all-powerful, all-knowing, all-seeing God the Father is that I think it's a challenge to call yourself a Christian and think that that powerful, all-seeing, all-knowing, all-seeing God would create a planet so fragile that a bunch of SUVs exhaust would destroy it. Okay? Maybe we have a different view on God and his creation. But it seems to me that this guy's got an idol, and it has greenhouse gases emitting from it. Maybe he drives a Chevy Idol. That's not actually the worst thing he said. He's got more, and I do love it when he's standing in front of a pretend altar with a rainbow flag behind him. You know something good is going to come.
It's been said before that when fascism comes to America, it'll be wrapped in the flag and carrying the cross. It's been said.
Who said that? I think Barack Obama might have said that. There you go. So, of course, the implication there is if you're a patriotic Christian, you're probably a fascist. Of course, there's nothing fascist about inventing a new flag and insisting that it not only fly in front of embassies and schools and other public buildings, but then insisting that the flag is also flown in a house of worship. You know, that flag. The one on the right is the rainbow, just good old-fashioned gay flag. The one on the left is the transgender, pick-your-own-adventure flag. You know what flag I don't see there? It's the American flag. So it's the American flag that's the fascist one with the Bible, but those flags with the Bible, A-OK. All right, and by the way, again, not even the worst thing he said in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Here he is with Al Hunt and James Carville. Oh, only good can come of this.
I have met so many Hindus, Buddhists, Sikh, Jews, Muslims, atheists, agnostics who are more Christ-like than some of the Christians I serve with in the Texas legislature. It is about how you treat other people. Matthew 25 is people who haven't read their Bible in a while.
You're not thinking of Ken Paxton. He's Attorney General.
Yeah, well, he follows the 10 commandments rather than the 10 commandments. But Matthew 25 tells us exactly how we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger, which is more timely now than it's ever been before. There's nothing in Matthew 25 about reading your Bible. There's nothing about going to church. There's nothing about being a good Christian. It is all about how you treat other people. And so I've met a lot of people from different faith traditions, people who aren't religious at all, who embody that teaching better than some of the really loud Christians that we have in public office.
I got to tell you, I don't have much more to say about what you just heard and saw. I've had plenty of conversations with some of my Protestant friends, Reformed Protestant friends who really hold on to sola fide, faith alone kind of salvation, versus me. I'm a Catholic. Faith is certainly important to salvation, but the Catholic Church suggests that it's also faith with love and charity and other things. But set that all aside for a moment. What you just heard, forget about faith alone. Forget about faith plus love. No. That was like faith is irrelevant. Faith is not even necessary. Just the best Christian is the atheist who is nice to people, is how James Talarico explains the gospel according to Matthew. I'm sorry, the gospel according to James, St. James of Talarico. I don't know if you remember, but after the primaries in Texas, there was a runoff. There's going to be a runoff between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn. And all the smart set, remember the smart set in D.C. that we started this segment with? They all said that Donald Trump was going to endorse John Cornyn and force Ken Paxton out of the race because Ken Paxton can't beat this guy. This guy will cream Ken Paxton. You got to elect John Cornyn. You got to endorse him so that he wins the runoff. So we have a chance against this formidable, incredible. And, Donald Trump has not made that endorsement. Have you noticed? That endorsement that everybody told me was happening hasn't happened. I wonder why. Does anybody believe that this guy is going to beat Ken Paxton in November? This guy? Really? you realize this is only 1 week's worth of video of him. You don't think there's more? What about when he just starts talking all on his own instead of these videos that we've pulled from the last several years? He makes Beto O'Rourke look like a member of the Bush family in Texas politics. And that's why I'm making an announcement today. Ladies and gentlemen, the next senator from the great state of Texas, Mr. Ken Paxton. Take it to the bank. All right. Thank you for watching the show today, everybody. Appreciate it. Let's not forget to like our video today and subscribe as much as you can. And Kevin, do we have a special programming note to let people know about? Because we've got a story breaking at Town Hall, and I have not been tracking it. Have you?
I have not, but keep an eye out for our channel to go live again this afternoon.
Yes. Watch our channel. We will probably be going live later this afternoon as we have a brand new exclusive story breaking at Town Hall that you're going to want to see. You should probably go over to townhall.com, check out the story, and then we will interact with the story live here on the channel a little later in the afternoon. So make a note. Make a note. That's why you want to subscribe to our channel right now and make sure you hit that bell so you get alerts. So we go live, when stories warrant. Not always at noon every day, and today might be a day just like that. All right, let's get to your Super Chats, if we don't mind. Jeff Depew with the $2 Super Chat, degree programs in advanced stupidity. Yes, that's the journalism major. Stumbleboots, you're cool too, Stumbleboots. Thank you, sir, for the $2 Super Chat. Lou Gunn is back, $4.99. Loved the casual look, cap and all yesterday. Looking good here, Larry, as always. Thanks for exposing all demon rats. You too, Kevin, TSM, and GBU.
Thank you so much, and
thank you so much, and God bless you. I got there. Stace Space. Hey, Stace. 499 Super Chat. I couldn't put my finger on what is different about you. It's your hair. It looks great. Really? Yeah. So my hair is actually normal today, but what's happening is I've got really wild lighting going on. You know what it is, Kevin? And I did a live stream earlier today with Mark Halpern for Two Way. The natural lighting in my studio. So I have natural lighting as well as studio lighting in here, and it's all different now that there's daylight savings. Like the timing is different and the sun shines differently. It's also very bright in my where my studio is. So we're gonna have to get some curtains in here and try to lock in our studio lighting. But all you're seeing is just the light sort of reflecting off my hair more than usual. But thank you for the very kind compliment. I appreciate it, Stace. Patty Jenkins, $2 Super Chat. You're not wearing your hat today. I wear one hat for the first time in 2 years, and it's all anybody wants to talk about, the fact that I wore a hat yesterday. Was that the first time I wore a hat?
I think so.
On the show?
Yeah,
that's wild. Can I just tell you, before I got my hair, these are hair transplants. These are I got these done like 6 years ago, more than that, like 9 years ago. I used to wear a hat all the time before that. I feel like I'm doing an ad for the hair transplant. Go to growyourhairback.com. Growyourhairback.com. This is a free ad for growyourhairback.com. Go to growyourhairback.com and you'll grow your hair back. Angela, $2 Super Chat. Well, he sounds jealous because he's not masculine. You got no reason to cry about your masculinity. Thank you, Angela. You can't be a Democrat and a Christ follower. Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but you said all followers of Christ sin in their own way, Angela, but some more than others. I'll leave it at that. Feisty with a $5 Super Chat. Larry, please hurry up and finish with Talarico Simmons so I can turn my volume back up. Oh, no. Has he reached that point now? Is he like playing Hillary clips and... who else do we hate listening to? You know what? I miss Jasmine. We got to bring everybody who was like, we really wanted Jasmine Crockett to win. Not because we thought that, I think maybe that's the thing, Kevin. A lot of people who have podcasts and talk show hosts, we were rooting for Jasmine Crockett. And I think that most people in the media interpreted that as some sort of fear of James Talarico. No, Republicans going to win no matter what. We wanted Jasmine Crockett because she's entertaining. She makes us laugh, and you never know what the hell's going to come out of her mouth. This guy is just a freak, but we're going to ride that horse as long as we can. All right. Anything else? What are we missing? Any business that we got to take care of?
No business. Catch our stream later today.
Catch our stream later. Oh, look at you. You're already done. You've committed to it. We're doing it. I thought we were going to talk about it.
It seems like it's probably going to happen.
Catch our stream later today. Big breaking undercover video expose from Town Hall News. It involves clinics in New Mexico. They call themselves clinics. They handle transgender procedures. They are taking kids from out of state. They are lying. They are circumventing federal law with regard to these procedures, and they've been caught on undercover video thanks to the Town Hall Investigative Unit. And Town Hall brings you that story right now. Go to townhall.com, read up on it, and then we'll join you later this afternoon. You're going to love it. We'll see you then. My name's Larry O'Connor. You can call me Larry.